Oh, sorry. Okay, welcome everyone to today's webinar. As we have people still streaming in, let me go and run a poll here of, is this your first time with us? Okay, just let us know. Okay, so while you're filling this poll, let me tell you more about what we do. We have a daily webinar where Jin will be walking you through his thoughts and ideas for very specific currency for each day. On Monday, Aussie and New Zealand; Tuesday, the Euro; Wednesday, the Pound; Thursday, Yen and Gold; and today, Friday, the Canadian dollar. So today it's a Friday, so Jin will be speaking about the Canadian dollar. As he'll be taking us through different time frames, this webinar is going to be very beneficial to both long-term investors and short-term traders. During this session, Jin will be going through what could move prices, possible trade ideas, highlight potential targets and risk. However, a disclaimer: any information shared during this session is not intended to be a trade recommendation. It is solely the opinion and views of the speaker. So please remember to do your own analysis prior to entering any trades. My name is Daniel. I've known Jin for many years, first as a student, now as a business partner. Jin runs LCMS Traders, where this is all about training. It's conducted to get traders to be consistent and profitable. And Forex Briefcase, which is our managed account services, where Jin trades an AUM of more than 10 million USD on a daily basis. Jin has been invited to speak on many stages globally. In fact, one of the reasons you might be here is because you attended one of the events, and even recently he's been invited to the Money FM, a Singapore financial radio talk show, to give his views on what has happened in the market. So before I share any other things, let me run a second poll, okay, on how did you get here and how do you get to this webinar? Please fill in this poll here. Okay, right now I would like to take this opportunity to share with you more about LCMS Traders Club. Let me get this here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Right now, this is a private group on Facebook where we teach, guide, signal, and coach you to be a better and much profitable trader. This is the place to be regardless of whether you're new, experienced, part-time, or even a full-time trading. If you have just joined us from Telegram channel, you have been enjoying our trade signals absolutely free. A question you might have is that when you are told when you get into a trade, where do you get exit out? In the Traders Club, we not only give the signals earlier than the Telegram channel, we also tell you the strategy behind it and actually guide you through on where to exit with specific reasons, right? You can see here. So look at this one. If this is the Aussie and Aussie USD trade, we signal out. We give the analysis here, of why we took the trade. We also have the excuse me. We also have where the take profit TP1, TP2, and TP3. Which in this case TP2, we really suggest you to close. So in the long Okay, so yeah, so again, just in case if you want to learn new strategies or require some coaching, we have members only sessions here. So looking at it, we have on a weekly live call with Jin on Monday, where we go through what's the news, whatever the economic developments have here. Last week, what happened in the economic roundup, what's the signal analysis, what coaching even better on how we give signals. Jane will also give you any economic developments, recent markets, highlights on any trades that the coming weeks, possible trades, even talk about how to trade on a 1 hour chart, how to identify trades. So it's really going to be beneficial. And for those who are interested in looking into new strategies, we have tutorial videos in here, which I give on Wednesday coaching sessions. In fact, we are doing right now, doing on the trend series. Right now, looking at the trend, how to identify trend lines, how to use various methods to identify trend and to trade as well. Lastly, we have a range of analysis for the club members here. Okay, let me show you a range of club members here where we have weekly currency correlation tables, daily watch lists, breaking news. All right, we have any breaking news coming in conferences, we will highlight here so that you have all the best information, shortcutting your way to your trading success. Now, how to join this group? It is a paid subscription of $199 a year. All you need to go is the link will be sent out on the chat right now. It's the LCMS Traders Club link website, which actually is for $199 a year. It's less than $1 a day. And if you are facing any uncertainty in your trading or taking any risk on your trades, you need to join this club to get some guidance towards profit and get some coaching to improve your confidence and strategy immediately. Trading can really be lonely, and in a close-knit community, we're ready to share. Trading can be really enjoyable, definitely profitable. And if you are not already in it, make sure you click this link right now to join. Okay? Okay, now, so without further ado, let me pass it on to Jin to talk about the Canadian dollar. Jin.
Hello. Yes, Daniel is very passionate about what he does. Not just what he does, he's just very passionate about everything else. All right, so Friday, Robbie, what's happening? Mask on, face shield on. Robbie's ready to go. He's not in outer space anymore. So today is Friday. I'll do a quick recap about what has happened in the market so far. We look like we're heading towards the end of the whole election phase. We're going to get a result soon, or we're already going to get it now. And then also what we're going to look into next week. With that said, looking at the news. All right, so in terms of the news, looking at Forex trading Asia, today is Friday. We've had the FOMC press conference, interest rate decision held at 0.25. The statement came out, not much changes, no changes at all. Still talking about holding rates at 0.25, more stimulus needed. US economy still at way below pre-pandemic levels. So a lot more support required. So no change in terms of what happened on the FOMC. Eye and focus still back towards the results of the US elections. With that, we've gone through some other news today with the focus now shifting towards non-farm payrolls tonight, 9:30. Previous was 661K, expected 600. Right now it looks like it might come out at about that same number. But with that said, we're also going to have what happens in the election going to cast a shadow across the board. Unemployment number is going to come from about 7.9 to 7.7. We might actually see some better numbers coming around there, maybe a 7.6 or 7.5 on the unemployment rate from the US. So I do think that we might see some short-term, very short-term strengthening of the US dollar coming from this non-farm payroll numbers tonight at 9:30. But remember, at the same time, at 9:30, at the same time, we have Canadian employment numbers coming around. Employment change going from 378K to 100. Okay, so some improvements in employment, not a big deal. And then unemployment rate going from 9 to 8.8%, and the Bank of Canada speaking at 10 o'clock. So with all that put together, it actually seems like it's going to set up quite nicely for the US CAD. Looking at how the US CAD has been moving, US CAD on the H4 time frame, for this week, it has came off the top of 1.3344, came off the top from there, down all the way, broke through one support level at the lower support level now of 1.3065. At this point now, to follow trend will be to expect the US CAD to head lower towards the 1.2965 level. That would be the safest trade to do, But as what I just told you about the news, right? Step one, I'm looking at the news of previous news and also upcoming news on step 5 is what could happen on the US dollar. Hey, we look at some strengthening of the US dollar because of non-farm payrolls. We look at some not as impressive employment change on the US CAD. So maybe a bit of weakening of the Canadian dollar. If that comes into play, strengthening of the US dollar and a weakening of the Canadian, we might actually see quite a nice bounce up of the US CAD, right? Bounce up of the US CAD off this 1.3065 level. You could even be looking at a 50 pip stop loss for a good 100 pip take profit upwards towards the 1.32 resistance level. Yeah, move that over here. So towards the 1.32 resistance level, if it bounces off this 1.3065 support level, if it hits this point and turns back down, then it would have to be driven by either a bad employment number coming from non-farm payrolls, right? Either bad non-farm payroll numbers or some strengthening, some better than expected employment numbers coming from the CAD, from Canadian side. So if we see that, then we're going to see the downward move on the US CAD. Between these two trades, the upward move or the downward move, following the trend, if I zoom out one more, following the trend, you can see that it looks like coming down would be the safer trade to do. However, at this 1.30 level, we've seen it react quite strongly even back in September. And the last time, it was a very long time ago since we got to that point. So I'll be a bit more, if you're able to take a bit more risk, right? If you're able to take a bit more risk, I would be looking for that upward move rather than downward move. That downward move, don't enter trade now. That downward move, you could be looking at a 50 pip stop loss for a 60 pip take profit. Not a fantastic trade. Still could be a profitable trade, but something that's not going to be too exciting. If you have that risk margin available, 50 pip stop loss, 100 pip take profit, risk reward 1:2. That would be the trade I'll be looking for on the US CAD. With that, doing a quick recap of what we've spoken about for the whole week. Aussie dollar doing very nicely, right? I was saying that it's going to bounce off this 7036 level. It bounced up, broke above 7214 or 7215, resisted at 7291. Okay, so right now it looks like it's being resisted. Possibly next week is going to be quite interesting. We might see the Aussie dollar come down as some trade relations break down between Australia and China. I'll tell you more about that next week. New Zealand US dollar straight up, right? Didn't get resisted of the 6677 level straight up, but possibly going to do something similar to Australia or the Aussie. We'll look at it next week. The Euro US, this was my favorite trade, right? So some of you guys in the chat were saying, which trade got this chair. So it wasn't any particular trade, but I hope you jumped into the Euro dollar. We spoke about it, said this was a three-part trade. First one was at 1.1650 towards this 1.17. If it broke above that, towards 1.18. And if it broke above 1.18, possibly towards 1.19. At this point, it looks like it's going to test 1.18 before maybe going back up to 1.19. So I'm super happy. I've got 2 out of the 3 right for the Euro US. Looking at part 3 on that. Euro pound, still within, I shared with you that 2 days ago, still within this 9024 and 8985 range. So wait for it to have a clear break of any direction before you look to do anything. I think that it will remain in this range for a medium period of time. Pound US dollar didn't get resisted at 1.3039, broke above. However, we're still looking at this 1.3167 level, possibly a good resistance for it to turn back down and test again 1.3039 or 1.3040. US yen, as we've seen the weaker US dollar push it lower towards a 1.10350 level. A little bit more downside before further upward move. I think all these trades, why I'm doing this recap now is it's helping me plan for what's going to happen next week. It's all reaching very low points or very high points, if you noticed, right? It's all reaching the extreme levels. At extreme levels, we could see very significant bounce upwards, or if it comes lower, this is the way you manage your trade very closely, because at extreme levels, you want to manage those trades. It's not a set and forget kind of scenario at those points. Euro yen still back into that range. Pound yen, bouncing around at this 13592 level, as we spoke about yesterday. And lastly, gold, yesterday I spoke about it, said it was going to go up and test above this 1900 towards 1950. Looks like it's doing that right now. Possibly going to test back a bit lower before heading towards 2000. Okay, so quite happy with how the analysis have been going for this week. If you put in the chat, what do you think? How was my analysis this week? You like it or you hated it? I hope you made some money out of it, most importantly. Right? I don't see the chat flashing, so I'm not going to be moving on to the next part. Good stuff. All right. So now the next part, looking at the news next week. Okay, looking at the news next week. Monday, we got not a lot of news happening. Okay, there's a lot of news happening next week, but it's not going to be big price movers. I don't feel there's going to be big price movers, especially those of you who are familiar with the pyramid of how I rank different economic data releases. These are not big price movers, although they are going to be there to, move prices a little bit. The main thing we're going to focus on for next week is, where is it? Let me find it. Here, okay. The 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, we've got the Reserve Bank of New Zealand rate statement, rate decision, press conference. It's all going to be there. They have been talking a lot about negative rates before. I don't think it's going to happen this month, but we're going to see whether that commentary about negative rates is going to continue. And if they do speak about it or give some sort of a timeline towards negative rates, then we could actually see quite a big move on the New Zealand dollar. And that's also why I said, I'll tell you more about that next week. Apart from that, nothing much else to move markets. I think the fallout from the presidential election is still going to be the major influence towards how prices are going to move for next week, especially how the US dollar is going to influence every other currency pair. Okay, I think most of you here are already familiar with the 4-day course, so I'm not going to run through the 4-day course again. But those of you who are already signed up or have already attended the 4-day course, help me out. Copy that link, put in that code, post it on your Facebook profile. Let's get more people talking about it. Let's get more people on board. That would really help us massively. All right, so just checking out the comments. Trading into the event or wait for the news event, US CAD. So Andy, I would wait for I think you're talking about the non-farm payroll. If you have a bit of profit margin to risk, I would even come to the point of saying you might want to jump into a small trade before the news and then actively trade during the news. But if you don't have the profit margin to risk, then I would say trade during the news only. wait for the news event and trade that. Amy is happy, Robbie likes it, Harriet likes it, Andrew says 70% spot on. Yes, I do try to keep to 70%. Good, and profitable. Traders Club members, make sure you join in on the what's that called? NFP competition. Put your guess in, put your best guesses in. You will stand to win that $100 or $50 Amazon vouchers. With that said, I'll pass it back to Daniel.
Hey, thank you, Jin. Good analysis on the Canadian dollar. So for everybody who are coming in on US CAD, do know, prepare to trade tonight. Okay, great. So I'm going to launch a poll, okay, on how do you find these sessions today? Okay, let me know. Is it perfect? It's great. By the way, a recording of this video will be uploaded. So thank you for joining these sessions today. There's no tomorrow. It's about Monday. So Monday we'll be talking about the Aussie and New Zealand dollar. Okay, so looking forward to see you then. Bye. Bye-bye.